The Reverend Matty Show, live from Studio M. Peace up and let it all hang out.
Yes, I know. All right. 1, 2. Okay. Welcome to the Reverend Matty Show, special edition Artist Life here on YouTube, which is the only place where we stream now. We have with us a couple of guests tonight. We've got, let me take myself off of here and put you guys on here. We've got Nor, a visual artist from Pennsylvania. We've got MSR, another visual artist from Queens. And finally, we've got Jennifer, who is a collage artist, also from Queens, and a member of the Woodhaven Arts Circle, as I am, and as MSR is. Okay. All righty. Okay. I was actually so. It's kind of ironic because the person I originally spoke to about this was Deborah Camp, and she's not been able to connect this evening. But we were talking about how it is to be an artist. I know Deborah is here. She's in the chat, and she really wanted to participate in this. We'll do another one like this maybe next month, and we'll see if we can't work out the technical issue. Okay. We were talking about what it is to be an artist, and this hit on, okay, say you're a child or a young person and you can draw or you exhibit some sort of talent. You make the refrigerator door a lot. When your teachers in school want to do something that requires a picture, they ask you. It's that sort of a thing. And at that stage in your life, you're not really taken seriously. They might not know that you could be one of these people who has this burning passion in their soul to express themselves in this way. Okay, with me, it's a sound thing. With you guys, it's a visual thing. Okay, then you get a little older, and you actually make that turn in the road and say, "Well, this is what I'm going to do." And because we're on a nighttime show and we're all adults, I'm going to say that's when the shit hits the fan. Okay, because all of a sudden, you start experiencing stuff with the people that you know, people in your family, and people that you don't know. And this is it's not a battle, but it's an experience that, if you ask me, it's almost a rite of passage for every artist. Okay? Because only you can handle in your own way how to get through this, because it's not 100% positive. Okay? My story is big and it's long, and you can read about it in the Leader Observer. Ed wrote an article about it. And actually, I think Ed has written articles about at least 3 of us that are here. So let's sort of go into, what started happening to you, let's say, Jennifer, when you made that turn and said, this is what I'm going to do with myself. This is what I am. It's in me, and I have to express myself in this way. Give it to us verbally.
That's an excellent question. Still trying to figure that out as I just turned 50. I guess that's what midlife crisis is all about. I don't know. I went to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so therefore I didn't really focus on anything particular. I got a bachelor's degree in human ecology, which is super broad. Moved to New York City 24 years ago. Had to pay my school loans and survive, so I got a job in a restaurant. And at the same time, I tried to push through with my art in some way. I got an internship at an off Broadway theater that lasted half a year. Fortunately, didn't fruit into a position as they had hoped it would be. But they scored another internship with an architect for me. Did that for a while, and one day after being in the city just over a year and trying to juggle full-time restaurant, full-time internship, and a country pumpkin from the farms of Vermont in New York City, I wanted to experience city life. So I walked away. One morning I didn't walk into that Bleecker Street office and said, you know what? It's time to do some art. Several months later, my father passed away. And then that's when I really dove into my art. Then I knew something. I knew I needed to do this.
This was kind of almost like a short catalyst.
Yes, yes. And then I had some turbulence in a relationship, and I had set a goal. I was turning 35. Said to myself, it's time to do something with this art. I've been making these collages. A friend from high school, ironically, came to me and said he makes prints in his family horse barn in Vermont, and offered to make prints of the collages. Like, perfect timing. I need a light in my life right now. This marriage sucks. So I set a goal for my 35th birthday. 5 months after that, run in with this friend and had a show on my birthday in the restaurant I was managing. And 2 days later, my now ex-husband walked out, and I started a whole new life as an artist and trying to pour my feelings and emotions and everything that's in here into something more productive than the destructive way of dealing with my emotions prior to this.
Well, what about now people that are close to you, your immediate family, your friends?
Yes.
What about how did you pick up what their perception of you doing this was? Like how did it impress you?
I was thrilled. All of them really pretty much encouraged me. My family encouraged me. My husband today, of my children, I have a very fortunate situation to be able to pursue. Problem is, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. And that's where the feedback that's not so constructive or warming, if you will, from others comes from. I don't know what I want to do. There's so much things. I'm trying to rewrite my artist statement right now from 15 years ago, and I'm an entirely different individual. I'm realizing, many things have happened. September 11, a new marriage, children, pandemic, buying a house, moving to another neighborhood, more family, so many things. And they do all perceive it differently. And therefore, many of them say, then you just got to focus and you got to go for it. Otherwise, it's time to go back to school and get a real career.
Yeah,
You've got a family to feed.
Let me understand this. You basically gave up on it for some period of years and then came back to it.
I did. I was doing it as a hobby. I was doing it as a way to journal my feelings. And then this person came along and said, you should try selling your stuff. And I couldn't sell it, so he offered another route. And we went down that road. And then that went for several years, or I guess it was 2 years. And then Esmeralda came along and my art stopped. She became my art. And I was working more. We had bought a house and I had to kind of, I mean, everybody, most of New York City are filled with artists, but I saw it. I'm sorry, I'm not having a hard time focusing my thoughts here because my head has been in my artist statement all day. I saw a young boy the other day with a t-shirt that said, "Chase the dream, not the fame." That kind of goes with money too in this department. Working in a restaurant, all my coworkers on the floor were artists of some kind. Most of them were musicians, but many of them were visual artists. Some were poets. But unfortunately, it's hard to make a living at that, especially in this city. It's so expensive. So you have to have another trade. That was the restaurant for me.
Isn't it difficult though? Isn't it difficult though when you realize that there's no choice other than to have it be, to some degree, a trade? Because in your soul, it's not a trade. It's a calling, which is not like a trade. It's almost like a man of the cloth, answering his calling, that sort of thing. So you spend a lot of time torn and thinking about, all right, what do I do, and why on God's green earth do I do this? Okay, and what do I get out of it? So this was I have to say, you sound like you didn't get that much friction from your friends, relatives, the public at large, and the like.
No.
Okay.
I was very lucky, very supportive, very much encouraged.
That is very lucky, because your story, Jennifer, in terms of what you experienced about other people's perception of you, is not my story.
Yes.
Definitely not. It's certainly an individual story. Who would like to be the next person to portray themselves as a person being judged by the public at large? Come on, Mayfusa, I'm looking at you. Come on.
Let's have it.
Paint me a window.
So I don't know if I was ever like really harshly judged for my art. Because I never really only did that until like about 2 years ago, when I started painting. I had a show, and it wasn't like it was like a group show. So I had a show, and a lot of people came, and they were like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. Like, you have a hobby now." And then the pandemic happened, and the world shut down. So I didn't get feedback from a lot of people as to what I was doing in my life, but I was just creating art. I was just like in an apartment creating art like 24/7. I would wake up in the middle of the night and be like, "Oh yeah, I thought I would add this to a painting." So, I would add it or whatever.
So when did you start doing this?
I started painting a few months before the pandemic started. I had my first group show in September the year before. So it's fairly recent for me.
Did you see any of this coming, like when you were a child? Like, what about your, people at home, your friends and stuff like that? Did anybody suspect that this is the route you were going to take?
Painting, no, but I was always an artist. I always was more curious about art than anything else. In middle school, I took art for 3 years in middle school, and I was never really like serious about it because my parents didn't think that art was a career. So I was more serious about math and science, but I enjoyed art, and I would always get like the best grades in art. And I remember, like, for parent-teacher conferences, I'd be really excited for my mom to like talk to my art teacher because he would have like the best things to say about me, but she would just be like, she'd just be like, "Oh no, like, let's talk to your math teacher and your science teacher. Those are the important subjects."
Oh, I used to dread having my mom talk to the math teacher. Oh my God. My parents used to go to parent teachers night, and I used to hide. I really did.
I was a total nerd. I loved parent teacher night. I was
Really?
like, now you get to hear about how awesome I am.
Wow. That's really kind of something. You know. So you didn't find that. Did you have anybody? I'm just going to put this out there for you. Okay. Did you notice when you really made the turn into I'm going to be an artist? Okay. Did you notice that anybody that you knew did anything weird, like stopped talking to you or started talking about you or anything like that?
I don't think so. I've always had like really good and supportive friends my whole life, but my family, they were a little puzzled. They were like, "Oh, okay, that's nice. What are you gonna do about money though? Like that's a real life thing." And I was like, "Hi, I'm not sure yet. I will figure it out." So they would
Wow.
like, and even like till this day, they're constantly pushing me to make more money, however that may be. And they
Right.
think the best way to do that is to, get a career in
Yeah.
somewhere where I can work a 9 to 5 or, work at a desk or,
How? Let me
be
tell
part
you,
of a
I
union.
did that. I was Mr. Corporate America. Okay. You ever see the cartoon American Dad?
Yeah.
That was me. I'm Stan Smith. Um, the it was the most thankless 20-something year waste of time that I ever did to myself was to work in corporate America. You know, so you didn't find. What about okay? The first show that you did, was that the one at Geordie's joint?
That was my first solo show that I did.
Yeah. And then
And
how did that grab you?
oh my God, it was miraculous. I didn't know that I can have support like that from a community. Um, my parents came and I think like because they saw everybody else around me was proud, they were also proud
Uh,
because of like the
Oh, I'm
social
happy for
context.
you.
Thank you.
I
It
heard
was
that
a
was
big
a success.
turnout.
Yeah, it was. That happened. I remember I called up Ed and I told him that I couldn't go
Yeah.
to your
Yeah, I
show,
think you weren't
and
feeling
then
well.
the day after your show, I ended up in the hospital. So,
Yeah.
and then it happened to me again later on in the year, but I'm better now. Okay. Well, thanks for
Well,
that.
Matt, I'm having another show that you should definitely come
I
to
know you guys are having one on what, the 18th?
on the 19th. So Deborah Camp and I are having a show
Yeah.
in Woodhaven. It's at the office of Assemblywoman Jennifer Rush Kumar.
Right.
We're going to have an
It's
opening
nice.
reception on the 19th from 2 to 6. And our stuff's going to be on view for a month. So come check it
Oh,
out.
cool.
Yep.
Cool. That's going to be nice. Are you picking any particular theme for what you're going to display, or are you just going to let it all hang out?
So I have a lot of like
Deborah shows great support for you.
well, she just sent me a list of the works that she's gonna have in it, and I was just amazed. So I think a lot of mine are gonna be like kind of like ocean themed.
Okay.
But yeah, what we really talked about when putting on this show was we wanted to emphasize like women in art
Yeah.
and
Who
because
sent
the
me the
art world.
picture? Who sent me the picture of the pizza on drugs?
Oh, that
Whose
was me.
picture was that?
That
was
was
you?
me.
Dope. I think it was called Dope Pizza. Wait, I'm going to bring it up. Hold on. Go ahead. Keep talking. Keep talking, Mayfusa.
No,
I wanna see.
it was called Chump Slice. And it's really like an ode to New York, especially during the pandemic. Like the drugs were on a rise, and I don't know. Pizza's like I feel like pizza's like fuel of New York.
Well,
Um,
I think it's the go-to food for
it is,
everything.
yeah.
For everything, everywhere.
It's cheap. Like you can have it for lunch, you can have it for dinner. I've had it for breakfast.
Such a big pizza. There it is. Here we go.
There it is.
Dope pizza. Notice
Yeah.
notice the hypo. Notice the hypo up on the upper left. The hypo.
Yeah, so they
at
were
least,
both.
At least you paint your mind. You know, you put it out there.
So
You
the
know?
two most important things about New York, I think, drugs and food.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, especially if you watch any TV and you watch like Food Network or Cooking Channel or anything, all of the coolest shows are all taped in New York.
That's true. I mean, New York's pretty cool.
Anything with Bobby Flay, Iron Chef America, all of this stuff, and it's wild stuff. I mean, how do you do a $500 high end gourmet meal out of peanut butter and jelly?
I'm an artist, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, tell me about it. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit now with Nor, and we're pretty much going to tell our stories together. Nor and I are very, very alike, which is, I think it speaks to just how undeniable DNA is.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't know each other for at least how many years?
I don't know, but I
We were
think I was
estranged.
25 when I
We were-
found you on Facebook.
Right.
And I'm like, that guy's wearing corpse paint. No fucking way.
Yeah,
I gotta talk to him.
Yeah, tell me about it.
My profile picture at the time was me in corpse paint too. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember that, and I remember your friend with his corpse paint. Wow, very King
Oh, yeah.
Diamond, very
Yeah.
King Diamond. But at any rate, we were estranged for well over 20 years, and in 2013, my mother had passed, and around that time, Nor found me on Facebook, and the icebreaker was she wanted to express her condolences.
Yeah.
Okay, on the passing of my mom. All right, and over time, we got to know each other. There were a couple of rough spots since we really didn't know each other very much. But within a couple of weeks, it was extremely apparent to me that there was no denying that this was my offspring. There was no getting around it. There was no she even looks like my mother. Okay, I've shown pictures of Nor to my cousins. Okay, and I say, "Who is that?" And they turn around and say, "Oh, that's Aunt Marion when she was in her 20s, being my mother." So I show them pictures of Nor, and they think it's my mother when she was young. Okay, so we talked for a long time, and eventually, the thing with the artistry was touched upon, and we've had a lot of have we or have we not had a lot of really deep, sometimes stoned discussions about this.
Yeah, you're high for them. We still have yet to be high at the same time, sir.
Yeah, I know, but we'll get to that. At any
Yeah,
rate,
we'll get to that.
at any rate, my experience, similar to, I think, Nor's experience. Why don't you convey to the rest of our unprecedented symposium here the whole black sheep of the family thing? Like being the weirdo.
Oh.
Like, let's have it.
Let's have it. Well, I was never really anything like my sibling. I honestly, I've always wanted to be more artistic. I played music for a while, and obviously the music I played was way different than what my family was used to. And that's all I can really say is I'm different. Are you still there?
Hang on.
No, I don't want to. I'm bored now.
Matty ran away.
Okay. I was under the desk for a minute.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Well, when I was a child, I exhibited musical talent probably by around age 6. Okay. And after much, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I want to learn how to play the guitar. I was sent for guitar lessons. Jennifer, when did you come to Woodhaven?
10 years ago next
Okay.
month.
There was a place where the Kentucky Fried Chicken currently is on 87th Street, which was called JAF. It was the local music school. It was where you went and you sat with like some little old man who was killer on guitar. The guy was a nut, okay? And he would make you read sheet music until you wanted to die. All right. And that's where I took guitar lessons. And then, I was in school. I didn't drop out of school or anything like that. And it reached a point where it was like, hey, mom, hey, dad, I think I'm going to do this for a living. This is where the problems began. Okay, it was completely unnurtured. It was entirely unsupported. To the point where I just quit everything and went and did the family thing, and waited until after that to get back to it. And just to throw a running joke out there, I was married to Rosemary's Baby. Okay. Just get out there. And I revisited playing the. Apparently, what happened was I was in a band called Sinistar, and we were sitting in my friend's Volkswagen. He had a Volkswagen Beetle. This was in the late '70s, and he puts a tape. That's right, we had tapes. He puts a cassette tape in the tape deck, and it's the Eruption solo by Van Halen. And after it's over, everybody else in the car turns around and looks at me. And I was like, what? And I quit playing the guitar that day. I was like, I'm not going to freaking waste all of that time so I could do that. And then the guy falls out of fashion, which he never did. But I stopped playing. I did the whole family thing for like, I don't know, 10, 15 years, whatever it was, and went back to it in the 1990s. Okay? After the 1990s, I got career-minded and became a six-figure earning, published in scientific journals, computer scientist. Okay? Without a degree, no less. At any rate, during that time that I was working in IT, which means information technology, I got the yearning again, and I was making enough money. So I decided to go to some real boutique places and buy some real killer guitars. Like, wow. Okay? Buy a guitar, come home with a couple of Marshalls and whatnot, did my thing. So I started, practicing, and it was like reapproaching the art with a mature mind rather than a teenage mind. So things were much more traumatic for me as I did this. And I was working in a place, and the guy that I was working for directly was Alex Van Halen's backup drummer in case something happened to him, like he ended up in an emergency room or something. He would be able to go on stage and play with Van Halen. Okay?
Spontaneous combustion.
Whatever.
Because
Okay.
Spinal Tap.
This is remember? This is Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap.
Yeah, at any rate, this had been years before. And I mean, the guy had a real backstory. He was engaged to Eddie Money's sister. Real crazy life this guy had. So we start jamming, okay? And then 2008 comes. And we all know what happened in 2008. The stock market crashed. The administration got handed over. And there were just like no jobs. So I'm driving do you remember Blue Lane? The taxi service? Blue Lane? I was driving for Blue Lane, right? A guy that was making over $100,000 a year driving for Blue Lane, okay? He was driving a taxi out on the island where he lived and whatnot. And finally I get a job. It was like a year later. and it was one of these temporary independent contractor things. So I get through with that. So then I'm out of work again. I'm driving a cab, and I get this other job, which is the job that broke the corporate America camel's back. I was working in a place where they had this thing that they kept referring to as their corporate culture.
Yeah.
Okay. You couldn't say good morning to one of these people without them reading something really complicated into it. They had their corporate culture so far up their heinies that they couldn't get out of their own way. Okay. So they take me. I solved a major problem for them that they were having with their data. And as soon as it was fixed, they told me that the learning curve was too steep and I was essentially too stupid to do the job. And they fired me. They said, that's it. I'm done. Okay. So then I end up driving a Mr. Softy truck. Okay. She's hysterical. Look at her. Look at her laugh. I see you laughing.
I
Okay.
love it.
Let me tell you-
Like you said, that is part of the artistic journey,
So let
the
me-
diversity of the road.
It is. The road
It
was
is.
hard too. So driving a Mr. Softy truck was the most thankless thing that could possibly happen to a human being. Okay. It got to the point where I would just not show up for work because I would be like, I'm not doing this today. I'm just not doing it. Right. So I quit and they owed me money. So I had to meet my boss at Myrtle and Broadway on the J train, downstairs on the sidewalk, right in front of the Dunkin' Donuts, right, to get paid. So she shows up and she pays me. Are you sure you don't want to come back to work? No, I don't. So I'm standing on the corner. I'm paid. And I turn my head and there's this guy standing there on the corner with a little pig nose amplifier strapped to his back and this gorgeous collector's item, like 50-year-old Gibson Firebrand Les Paul. It was gorgeous. So I went up to him and I was like, dude, what do you do? And he says, I play up on the trains. I was like, what do you mean you play up on the trains? And he says, I go up and I play music and then I go around and see if anybody wants to tip me. And they tip me. And I was like, is there any money in that? And he says, well, I have an apartment, a girlfriend, 2 cell phones, and cable. What's not to like, right? So we exchanged business cards. And about 2 weeks later, he calls me up. I got a computer that has so many viruses on it. I don't even know if you could fix it. I said, bring it over. He brings it over. I fix the computer. And he comes into Studio M here. And he looks around. And there's guitars all over the walls. And he says, you got a couple of guitars here? And I was like, yeah, I know. And he says, why don't you take one of the acoustic ones? And I'll take you out with me. And I'll show you how to make money. You'll make $100 a day. I was like, I'm for that. So he took me for a couple of weeks onto the J train and then decided that he was going to go busk his way across Europe on their subways. Okay. So he gave me to his mentor. There's a whole society of people that busk in the subway. There's mentorship programs. There's meetings. They have an awards dinner at the end of the year. It's crazy, right? So I get this guy named Ziggy, and he is a total alcoholic crackhead. But he makes so much money in the subway, it's ridiculous. So I modeled myself after his act, and I started doing this full time. At this point, okay, friends that I had known for decades quit talking to me. Family members that would ordinarily call us up at holiday time stopped calling. I would have to hear from a third party that I don't know what happened to Matt, but I think he's some kind of nut. or something like that, not realizing that, hey, I'm paying the rent and the cable and the cell phones. So if you don't like it, just put $1 in my hat and go away. Because that's what I would do. I would jump on the train and I would do the number one earning song that I used to do was The Horse with No Name by America. I used to get on, do the song, and then not say anything to anybody, take off my hat, and just go down one side of the car and down the other side of the car. And whoever wanted to contribute would. I said, thank you, God bless you, blah, blah, blah. This was that. And this is how I was making a living. But it trickled down. There were like two schools of thought. There were people that thought that I was like some kind of crazy bum. And there were other people, especially my musician friends, thought that this was the coolest thing since sliced bread. And everybody else wanted to do it. And I was like, as long as you stay off the E train, that's mine, you know? And this is how it went. So I ended up losing friends over it. I had a whole family of people that decided to just judge me negatively, who I don't have in my life anymore and whatnot. So we make sacrifices for our art, you know, and it happens. It's not all positive. I had a really bright guy who happens to be one of the leading oncologist hematologists at Columbia University tell me that my songs were too formula. Like he needed to hear something less formula. I write songs, a couple of verses, a chorus, another couple of verses, a chorus, a guitar solo, a chorus, and the song's done. And I kind of like use a formula because that's how I write, you know.
That's so subjective of him to have said that.
Well, in a way, it was very constructive. And in another way, it was kind of selfish. Because I thought that his songs, his stuff, wasn't formula enough. For me, if a song goes for more than 3.5 minutes and there's no structure to it, it loses my attention span. I have a friend of mine that used to submit songs all the time. They were 7 minutes and 8 minutes long, all synthesizers and whatnot. And no matter what I tried, by the time I got to 4 minutes, I found myself reading a book or something. I was doing something else at the time because they couldn't hold my attention that long. You know, so you have a lot of even, pot calling the kettle black. And even to this day, I take a little bit of stuff like that. I don't really care anymore because I don't think my big time streaming day. I mean, listen to my voice. I don't think my big time streaming days are going to come back the way they were. You know, so I do it now for me. You know, I'm not worried about the public at large. Now, I'm going to give the forum the whole thing, and I'm going to maximize her screen. There she is, to Nor. All right, let's have it.
About the painting.
About everything.
Tell you what, we'll do the painting. How about that?
All right, that works.
That's what I'm feeling like talking about. So,
what are you smearing all over yourself there?
This is my apron. So that's where I wipe off the putty knife when I'm done. When I'm done with this part. But I was working in a restaurant. I've always worked in restaurants or warehouses or whatever. And I've always wanted to like try painting. Like I've done some abstract stuff before in the past and, stuff like that. But over the pandemic, I started really thinking like, what am I actually good at? So, there was a day I was watching YouTube and I was watching this one artist. He's called 1000. And, the more I watched him and other artists, the more I'm like, I think I can do that. Like I've painted before, but I've never tried to like paint something. So, my roommates, they do acrylic pours. So upstairs, there was canvas, there was paint. I mean, it was crap paint, but who cares? I had to start somewhere. And the more I tried, the better I was getting.
Uh-huh.
So it's been about a year and a half. I don't know if I'll ever make a living off of this. And to be honest, I don't care if I do, because this is more about like making myself happy rather than making money. Like, I still have a job, I still maintain my relationships, I still paint, obviously. It's just, making that time, making sure that it's part of my life. It's almost like working out, or, finding time, for spiritual stuff. Like, it's definitely part of me that I didn't know that I had. And, it's, the big goal in my life is just happiness. This is happiness. Right now, happiness has one eye and four tits, and I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Like, I have commissions here and there, but like the ones I do for me are my favorite ones, and they're the ones I don't think I'll ever sell. First off, they're not archival. They're made with like apple barrel paint, folk art paint, stuff you can't really like market. But they'll always be my favorite ones. I did a Tommy Wiseau, I did a Gary Busey, stuff like that, and creatures from my own head, like this. As of late, I did an Elizabeth Bathory. That was a fun exercise because I wasn't very familiar with painting hands, or even that sort of portraiture where it's very old looking. That one is one of me when I was painted up as the Krampus.
Krampus.
Yeah, that was one of my first ones that I did.
That's like evil Santa Claus, right?
Yeah, we'll go with it.
Okay. Like Santa Claus who wants to kill you.
Yeah, he takes the bad children. Is that anything like the Belschnickel? That's like a Pennsylvania Dutch thing.
I don't know. Pennsylvania Dutch could get very creepy.
And weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah, it really can.
It's kind of cool. I'm into it. They've got the hexagrams and stuff like that on the barns. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about that. 4 tits, 1 eye. I'm happy.
Well, if that floats your boat, then it's okay with everybody else.
I love boats. That was one of my first paintings. Was a lady with a boat on her head. Because I was learning more about like the French Revolution and stuff like that. Because I like to study for no reason, and like.
Oh wait, we have children. Children. Okay, hello, children.
Oh, child. Okay, I'll watch.
They're saying hi to you. This is Esmeralda.
Hi.
This is Benicio. These are my art projects right now.
Yes,
actually,
yes,
they're beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. Don't be artists. Okay. All righty.
As for feedback goes, it's been nothing but positive. I haven't had anybody in my life react negatively to it. I actually found a really nice art culture on Instagram. I got on there. It was one of the first things I did. I didn't put any pictures of myself up there, so nobody knew if I was male or female or whatever, because I didn't want any biases. I wanted people to see my art before they saw who I was. And honestly, the community is pretty cool. You get to meet artists from like everywhere. That's where I typically do my streaming, is on Instagram. So you do art collaborations and stuff like that. It's super fun.
There, we got hi from Deborah Camp to Esmeralda and Benicio.
I can't see the conversation.
Benicio? Okay. Said it right. Yay.
Sorry,
Okay.
I had to mute it now that they're home from soccer practice. Yes, Esmeralda and Benicio.
Soccer practice. That's so mom. Soccer practice.
Yeah, I ditched them up there. And rode back down the hill.
Yeah, you get rid of the kids. Send them to soccer. Do you have
run around till you're tired.
If only that really did work. It
No,
doesn't.
it probably doesn't.
Do you have a minivan?
We did. No, we get around on scooter. We like that
Okay.
buns of steel workout.
Yeah. It's the way it goes. Yeah. On several occasions, I somehow managed to make people cry on the subway. Okay.
Oh
Now
no.
I'm looking at MSR, and she's like, "What do you mean you make people cry?" I see the face, right?
I'm intrigued.
I,
You did
I,
what now?
they would always cry, almost always, over the horse with no name, and it would be people in their probably at the time, probably in their 40s, and it was because their parents listened to America, which was the group that did Horse with No Name. And I would
Yeah.
always get that was my father's favorite song, or that was my brother's favorite song, and he never came home from Vietnam, or something like that. And I would have people crying me a river on the subway. You know, do either of you take the subway a lot?
Yeah, all the time.
You know, if you look at the floor, it's that rubber mat that goes down the whole length of the car, and it's got the grooves in it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lady one time in front of me on an F train, and we were underground heading for Coney Island, and she was crying me a river, and actually her tears were in the grooves of the mat traveling down the length of this subway car on the floor.
You
And
know, if I ever
I
see
became,
water on the subway, I often just I think
well,
it's
no,
something
with this,
else.
yeah, no, but with this, you could,
Probably pee.
yeah, tell me. That's the first thing you think, right? But no, with this lady, it was pouring out of her face. It was just terrible. And I was like, lady, don't cry. Lady, I'm just doing a song. What are you crying about? Blah, blah. And she told me the whole thing, and she tipped me really big. I went home after that.
Nice.
But, you know, you would end up, in some regards, that's the best review you could get because you actually managed to reach in and touch somebody's soul. Okay. And
Matt, there was a celloist that played on the Delancey subway
Ooh.
platform, and I often ran into him between, I don't know, 1:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning, coming back to Woodhaven after work. And I tipped him royally every time I saw him. But for him to sit on the platform and play music from the heart at that hour, one night I asked him, I'm sorry, your music's really incredible. What are you doing here? He had studied at Juilliard, didn't have the funds to stay in there, dropped out, but the music was so in there that
in
he
my
had to
travels,
find a place to stay. His roommates were annoyed, but he worked during the day. He couldn't play in the apartment at night because it was too loud for the roommates. So he hit the Delancey stop, and he just would pour his heart out all night long. And I wonder where this guy is now. I hope he's still playing, but yeah.
well, in my travels, I ran across probably hundreds of musicians that were like that. And most of the time, once you get to know them a little bit, especially at the awards dinners, okay, sometimes they used to get a little mad because I was the undisputed king of the E train for like 5 years. Like there was nobody that could touch me on the E train. There's a rule down in the subway, okay? If you suck, you're not going to make any money. You got to be good at what you do in the subway. It's not just for bums. You have to be good, or you're not going to make any money. And I was good at what I did.
No, this is just
But a lot of times, honey, it's true. If
no,
you
that's not
suck,
what I'm laughing at. You were like, there's a rule on the subway, and in my woman brain, I'm thinking, if it looks like water, it's probably not water.
you're still on that. Oh my God,
No, I circled back to it because I'm highly
she's on that
intelligent and I
still.
knew that.
The but there were a lot of musicians that were almost had a virtuosity about them. And once you get to know them, even just a little bit, you realize that they feel out of place. They don't know where they belong. I used to get the feeling a lot like, hey, if this guy ever has where he belongs fall in his lap, I don't think he would recognize it. These were people that were unfortunately gifted with enormous talent and but not with enormous insight. Okay, I have this discussion with a friend of mine, and I've been having actually this argument for years. Being a musician is and playing an instrument is not the same thing. You have to understand the zen of the thing. You've got to understand the spiritual end of what you're doing. Otherwise, music doesn't work. That's how a rock band could write a song about a casino burning down and get super mega famous with 3 notes, because you have to get the message, and you put the message across. So many guys, celloists. There was a lady that I used to see at 14th Street. She'd be there during like lunch hour, who played a lumberjack saw with a hammer, and she was great. She would play like the Star Trek theme and stuff like that, and she was really good. And nothing ever became of that for her. My understanding is she's still down there playing the saw. Another guy had a life-size puppet of a woman that he would hold on to, and he would put background music on, and he would dance with her. And they would do all kinds of crazy dances. And somehow, during the act, an actual woman would slip into the scene, and he would be the puppet, and you wouldn't know until the dance was over. It was almost like, it was kind of like a dancing act and a magician act at the same time. So you saw stuff like this, but where does it belong? So there's a lot of people still down there. And during the pandemic, it must have been real hell trying to make money, because there was nobody down there. So many people may have quit their art, abandoned it, and whatnot. There's a lot of loss that we had from this pandemic that goes far beyond even the number of people that lost their lives from the virus, or people that are sick with it today, or people who had it and are suffering from what it left them with, which is what they suspect happened to me, because I had it. So you have, who knows how much talent has given it up and is currently flipping burgers somewhere or not doing anything.
Matt, I feel like if you're an artist at heart, like, you can take breaks from it, but you can't ever stop doing it. Like, life will bring you back to it somehow.
Yeah, that's I definitely feel that. There are days, trust me, there are days where the last thing I feel like doing is coming in here and doing a stream. I want to go lay down, and that's how it is. But somehow, at some point, I'll always find myself back in here.
Yeah.
And this is, basically where it is. This is actually, Nor put it very well the other day, on the possibility of us moving into a new apartment. What would happen if I didn't have like the extra bedroom in which to put Studio M? Okay. And her first response was almost a thing of panic. It was like, but that's like what you do. What the hell would you do with yourself? You can't just go someplace and not do that. You have to do it. It's like what you do, and I think she was absolutely right, you know,
I know
and
I'm right.
huh?
Nothing. Go ahead. Do continue, sir. I'm listening.
What do you mean,
There's
sir?
nothing.
What do you mean, sir?
I call everybody sir. I call chicks sir.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, especially Nikki.
Wow. That's like it's really too much. But
Yeah, it's a new world. You could be a sir or a houseplant. You
yeah,
decide.
and it's very cool when there's somebody you talk to, when there's somebody that you talk to all the time, who gets the art thing because they're an artist too,
Hmm.
and some of the conversations just get weird, but it's cool, because who else is going to understand you? Who are you going to get? I have a sibling that absolutely does not understand why I do this. Just
That's true.
doesn't absolutely doesn't get it. Okay, a whole side of the family was like, okay, he's gone off the deep end, and there's nothing we can do, and that's it. But they don't get what I get, and they don't get what Mayfusa might get at one of her shows, or you, Jennifer, at a show, or even nor when you get commissioned or you sell a painting, or you get exhibited or something like that. People don't realize the charge you get out of that. I don't know about you guys. I need an audience. I have to
I,
have it.
I get scared when I have a commission because it's only been like a year and a half, and I feel like this is the one I'm gonna fuck up because I'm not relaxed.
I think the artist is always like the most critical of their own work.
Yeah,
I'm like that too with my work. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely like this definitely doesn't look nice, and then I'll bring it to an audience, and they'll be like, whoa. I'm like,
that's
yeah,
the
what
main
that person said.
fault. Yeah.
Well, what about alone time? Do you find yourself searching for alone time?
I mean, I was
Yeah.
doing pretty good, but you were all like, "Come on to stream."
I love my alone time.
I
Oh
know.
man.
Who's an asshole? Come on.
Ah,
Who's an
it's
asshole?
you. You
I
know
know.
it.
Who's the king of all assholes?
It's you.
Damn right. I am the undisputed A champion, #1 asshole of the world. I actually have on Twitch. All right, that's enough now.
You can
All right, that's
stop.
enough. On
Yeah.
Twitch, you guys know about Twitch, right?
Yeah.
It's that other platform for gamers. I have on Twitch an army of assholes. Get this, I managed to make being an asshole cool.
Why do I want to paint that?
So
Like,
we
what
go
would
on.
an army of assholes look like? Like,
I don't know, but I get on
I've got some
on the rare occasion,
ideas.
on the rare
yeah,
occasion when I get on Twitch, everybody comes on and we're all such assholes to each other. It's great,
it's
you know.
fun.
It is. Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing like being a card carrying asshole. I took the test on Facebook, and it said
Ooh,
that
so it's official.
I was 1,000% asshole. That people don't even want to sit next to me on the bus.
Ooh.
That's what Facebook's "How much asshole are you?" test came back. Those were my results. You know, so so I have this loyal, like there's a sergeant at arms asshole, there's an admiral asshole, there's a rear admiral asshole. People fought over that position, you know, and that's how it goes. But this comes from, you know, I mean, we're artists, so basically we are the weirdos. You know that song by Queen, "We Are the Champions."
I love
We are the
Freddie.
weirdos. This is how it is.
The
Okay.
weirdo.
If it wasn't for us, nobody would do art. Who would do art? Look at Pablo Picasso. Look at some of his work. This dude had to be a weirdo. Okay. Look at
Oh no,
Leonardo.
no, no, no. You don't know a weirdo unless you looked at Salvador Dali or
Oh
learned
my
about his
gosh.
I was
weird
just gonna
fear
go there
of
with the clock.
grasshoppers. He was terrified of them. He thought they were all Beelzebub. He was terrified of grasshoppers, and he was totally fascinated with something very private that I don't know if I can mention because I don't know if there's kids around, but he like worshipped that. That and fat chicks. Have you ever seen some of his
Dang.
art? He
I
was into
have.
big chicks.
I went to the Dolly Museum in Florida,
Oh,
and I
that's
was
Huh?
just
cool.
like, I was just like standing there, like I couldn't move because of how interesting his work was.
Yeah,
And then my
Yeah.
friend was
mind-blowing.
like, "Well, you have to move up, so because you'll see it's different when you go up," and it
Which was the
is.
which was the first Dolly piece that you saw?
Um, I think I sat on like a bench that was made to look like a dolly piece because it had like a clock on it and it was dripping. I think that was probably the
Yes,
first one. I think that was
that's
like
the first
towards
one.
the
I
entrance.
the first piece I ever saw by Dolly was the melting clocks,
Mhm.
I saw
which
one where it was like elephants, but their legs were like crazy long. Were they elephants? I can't remember.
He has a
wow,
lot of weird stuff. They might
A
have
lot of
been
weird stuff.
camels. I recall seeing some camels in one of
Maybe.
his stuff,
and
one of
then
his pieces.
there were your artists that almost weren't weird enough, like Da Vinci. Okay, was Da Vinci an artist or was he an engineer? What
Both.
was
I
he?
think he was
Art
both.
is art is engineering.
Yeah,
My
I
art is a
agree.
lot of math. All these lines, you gotta. It's so mathematical. It's
No shit, I need a
interesting.
calculator.
No,
You
no
know,
calculators. They didn't have calculators in my day.
wow. The Just who would think in in the 1500s that we needed a flying machine? Who would think of it?
Brilliant, brilliant.
You know,
Anyone who looked
That-
at a bird,
Yeah,
yeah, like why can't we do that?
yeah.
a
We're the most
bicycle.
intelligent. We're the most intelligent species on the planet, and we
Hmm.
can't fly without a machine. Yet birds, which are the dumbest thing going, they fly like it's not, like it's nothing.
Hey, they survived a long time to get here. Longer than we have. They're doing something right.
Yeah, tell me. I got a flock of geese that I hear. Actually, I hear an occasional flock going right over the house every year around this time, a couple of times a
Canadian
week.
geese. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, could be the
they're
Canadian
leaving.
geese.
Yeah, and
Winter.
yeah, the so really this if you look at not Picasso, Rembrandt, okay, another weirdo. Let's call a spade here. I mean, uh, how do you get this stuff without people like this? And I could see why some artists like kind of isolate themselves, you know. And I think it's because when you do your work, when you do your art. Now I'm like this. I don't know if you're like this. I have to be in a particular headspace that has to work.
Yeah,
Like
same.
if I plan my day around some musical art that I'm going to do, and I get a wrong word, or I get something to interrupt my flow, it'll blow my headspace for the whole day. It's gone, the whole thing. So you got to be in this. I think that a lot of these artists that would, go live in the mountains and isolate themselves, they didn't want their headspace getting messed with.
Mm.
I agree. That's a dream of mine to go live somewhere
You know,
extremely
so,
remote where I could just paint all day. I'll stay there for
yeah,
a year, like
yeah.
not talk to anybody.
So is that a weird thing? I don't know. I think maybe it's preservation in a way,
I don't know if
not to
it's
lose.
weird because it makes total sense to me to just be like in it with your art.
Nora, are you in a headspace right now?
Nah.
You're not?
No, no. As a matter of fact, how do I put it? I can make myself paint at any time. It's just certain days where I get in a weird headspace that I can't.
Mhm.
Huh. Who knew? I didn't know.
I feel like if I'm too happy, it's hard for me to create art.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
because I feel like there's less importance for me in conveying that. Even though I think that's wrong. I think it's just like learned behavior.
Hmm.
I think when I'm dealing with stuff, it's easier for me to pour it out on a canvas because it
Yeah.
helps, you know.
It's an outlet. It's an outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need some sadness.
I think so, yeah. When I'm too happy,
Yeah.
I'm just like in my happiness, like not trying to do anything.
Ironically,
Well,
I
that's
feel like
productive.
Ironically, for me, I feel like my art comes as I'm coming out of my sadness and seeing greater light. Maybe because I have the space to produce and envision now that I've come out of whatever hell I was in. As now I start a new piece on Monday because my kids are back in school after 22 months at home, and now I've got the time. It's interesting, though it does stem a lot of the art from a deep sadness. Interesting, the state of mind. Though I find when I'm doing it, I am like this morning, I was over the moon. I was up early. I wanted to get all my chores done and the kids to school and my husband to work. And now the kitchen floor and the collage, it's all mine.
Yeah.
Crank the music, a little 420. It's that
Yeah.
Oh
time, and
yeah.
you're golden.
Yeah.
You know?
Way to go.
Yes.
So now, in your sadness, MSR, is that expressed in the dope pizza?
Yeah, so I was getting over a relationship when I painted that. And to me, that we had a lot of pizza dates. And for me, that relationship felt very addictive. And it was hard for me to get over because I felt like I was addicted to it.
I get
So
it.
that's what
Addicted to the relationship or addicted to pizza?
addicted to the relationship and the person that I was in the relationship with.
Uh-huh.
Even though it was like a very unhealthy relationship. So like I was thinking about all of these things while painting this, and then I felt like it was more like a painting about New York.
Well, I noticed the dripping mozzarella towards the bottom. There, is that significant, or was it just like it's pizza? It needs some cheese.
Well, no, I make very deliberate choices whenever I paint. So
Okay.
the dripping is like reminiscent of like tears.
Okay.
But it's also like, I mean, really good pizza is always dripping. I mean, come on.
Oh,
It's not good unless it's dripping
I
in.
see it all now. I see it all in MSR. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's real. That's a real piece.
Yep.
That's really something.
Thank you.
I think it's really cool that it means all that to you because I wouldn't know from looking at it, but like once you tell me it's there, see, I took the cheap route and I just painted my X's. It really helped get it like out of me. It's like because I paint all the time, like you can see all the different like emotions and expressions in my work. But I think in that area, I was very direct. That's really cool. I like it.
See, Deborah says that whatever's going on in her head when she's doing her thing, it shows in the work.
Yeah, that's true for me too.
You know.
Oh, I love to see that, Deborah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that sounds like a real. That sounds like a real interpretive piece, right? Like you'd have to look at it for a minute and really, dig into it. Send us one of those, Deb. Alrighty. We've been on for an hour and 10 minutes. Okay. And as much as I'm sorry that Deborah and Ed both had trouble connecting, and I don't know why, I'm going to try to get some support on that. Okay. I think everything else sort of worked out pretty well. Okay. We've had Nor painting the whole time,
Yes.
which I thought was interesting to look at.
Do you guys want to see it? Can you?
Yes.
Yes, I would
A
love
little
to see
bit.
it.
Show it better.
It's not done. What do you think?
Wow.
I love it.
I really like the lines. It looks like you did use a bit of math.
There is a lot of math in there.
Yeah,
The
right?
circles.
And it does have 4 tits.
It does. 4 tits
Wow.
and 1 eye. 2 navels.
Alrighty.
And like 3
Alrighty.
clavicles. I think I messed up the math right there.
The more tits, the better. That's what I say.
Yeah, more titties.
Now, this one, let me turn it on. Hold on. This guy
There you
here, let me, all right. Why does this remind me of, don't get mad, Gary Busey?
Oh, I wonder why I called it Scary Busey, because that man is terrifying.
Really?
He had a near-death experience, and now he won't cuss. So, like, for the one role, they're like, you have to swear. So the line
Scary
was,
Busey.
the
That-
line
that's
was,
it.
it was
I'm gonna
supposed
have
to be,
I'm going to have to partake.
the guys, he was supposed to say, "I'm gonna get you, motherfucker," was the line. But
Yeah.
for some reason, Gary Busey goes, "I'm gonna get you, butthorn."
Oh, God. So that is
Butthorn.
Gary Busey.
Yeah, that is Gary Busey.
Get out of here. Well, you did a great likeness because I knew who it was right away.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Did you take life drawing classes? That is an amazing picture. It's
No.
really stunning.
I'm a visual learner, so I just watch YouTube.
That's amazing.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Wow.
Are you guys on Instagram? Like, do you have the socials? I don't have Facebook anymore, but...
I am. I use Instagram a lot for art, just like you.
Oh, cool. You should
So-
totally give me your info.
My handle is SHAMMY514.
I need a pencil.
Can I write it in this chat?
Yes.
I don't know if I can see it. Okay, you said SHJ?
SHA as an
A.
apple, MMY at MMY and then 514.
Okay. You'll totally be hearing from me.
And here's Deborah on Instagram at the bottom of the screen here.
Yeah, I can't see the chat.
Well, that's why I put it at the bottom of the screen.
On the screen, my dude, it's because I'm on my phone. It's like...
Don't worry about it. So you're on a phone, right?
Yeah.
Who's on a phone and who's on a computer?
I'm on a computer.
Computer.
And she's on a phone. So we have both cases and they work. I'll talk to support and I'll try to figure out
Just a paintbrush.
what was the deal with Ed and Deborah. So at any rate, I think that we've covered some interesting and uncovered aspects of actually living with ourselves, being artists,
There's
and
paint
living
everywhere.
living with our peers and our families and whatnot. And I thank you guys for showing up and being patient. And
Yeah, thank you for hosting.
I'm going to give you guys a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored.
So much love and support.
Wearing deodorant.
All righty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea how many people may have tuned in and watched. I know that Deborah has been here the whole time because she's been very active in the chat. I don't know if Ed was here, but for whoever watched, we thank you very much. I do not know when's the next time I'm going to stream for purposes, well, for reasons that I'm not going to go into. Just watch the notifications, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and the like. And you guys, Nor, MSR, Jennifer, thank you very much for being with me here tonight.
guys.
on the
Thank
Reverend Matty
you.
F.
Thank
It
you.
was really nice to meet all of you.
Yes, it was nice meeting you, Nor.
Likewise.
Have a good night,
Alrighty.
guys.
See you
So-
Sunday, MSR.
Yes, I'll see
so-
you Sunday.
So until we meet again,
Until
this
next
is the
time.
Reverend, until we meet again, this is the Reverend Matty F. Wishing you peace in your life.
This has been the Reverend Matty F Show, live from Studio M, a Robot Submarine production.